Wonderful. We're here. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Circle of Love and Light. I'm Jane Mountrose, your host, and I'm here with some wonderful colleagues, friends, and fellow healers. Jeryl Anne Peterson-Heatherdale, Diane Biersdorfer, who's Diane, what is it on Facebook? Now I forget.
Diane Allison Biersdorfer.
Oh, Diane Allison Biersdorfer and Carol Ann Allen on Facebook. So I'm glad that you've joined us today, and we're going to have a wonderful discussion to herald in the new year on creating a divinely joyful and purposeful life in the new year. And it's so wonderful because the start of any year is an opportunity, of course, to take a look at what we might want to leave behind and what we might want to pick up on. And I think we're also pairing that with, actually, there's a new moon today, which is a new beginning. So we've got a very powerful new beginning energy going. And I'm delighted that we have this opportunity. So before we start our discussion, which will be coming in a couple of minutes, I first want to just take a moment for us all to slow down and center ourselves a little bit and bring in the love that we hold in our hearts as the place that we interact from and relate from during this time together. So you might even want to close your eyes for a moment and just take a couple nice breaths. We can all imagine we're surrounded with love and light. We can ask our higher selves, all of the angels and masters and guides and beings in the higher dimensions who are supporting us, to shower us with this beautiful, loving light and hold us in a safe space together. So you can just feel that around you and breathe it in. I enjoy breathing, imagining I can breathe love into every cell of my body. And of course, opening our hearts to the love. And with this, I'd like to begin the discussion, or have just ask if any one of you would like to start the discussion on why this topic is relevant to you and your perspective, a little bit of your perspective on it.
Glenn looks like she's ready. Go ahead.
And we're all kind of sitting here going, oh, okay. Well, Happy New Year, everyone, to begin with. I'm excited about 2022. 2021 and actually 2020 really brought up a lot of challenges and really helped me to see where there were places that I personally need to grow and to evolve, transmute, transform, whatever anybody wants to, however you want to couch it. But I feel like, and I've heard this a lot from a lot of people in the spiritual community, that 2022 is going to be such a introspective year, a year of going within and really, really taking all of those things that we've been going through and going, okay, we've experienced it. Now let's see what that means, and what does that mean to me, and how do I move forward from here? But I'm excited about really getting to know my higher self and getting to know myself better after the chaos of the last couple of years. So I'm optimistic, I'm excited, and I'm up for the challenge.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, I would say I think this year is going to be the year when self-love becomes the uttermost important. I know I find myself speaking on that and teaching on that a lot, and I still fail. I found that, as I come closer, I like that you said that introspection, because I do feel like as I go deeper within, I feel like many of us that work as light workers, empaths, we tend to be, I'm giving to everyone else always. And when someone says, can you help me with this? We're like, yeah, sure. Whatever it is that somebody else wants. And so I know for me, as much as I talk about self-love, I'm not always giving myself the love and the respect that I need to make sure that my needs are met, that I'm feeling my well first, so that I've got enough to give to someone else. So I think that that's my main purpose, my main goal this year, is to work on respecting myself and looking within and giving myself, taking the pause, because I always tell everyone else to do that. I need to take that pause and, do I really feel like this is for me to do? Is this really my job to take care of this, or am I trying to fix other people? And that will, I feel like this is my year for that. So that's my thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. So important.
That is good. I never know where I'm going. And that's the truth. I kind of feel like you, Jeryl Anne. I think there's going to be a lot more introspection this year. I've been doing that a lot. Even the last week of December, I found myself really looking at what did I want to do? Where do I want to go? What do I want to bring into my life? Because I think I'm seeing how quickly things are manifesting in the way, seems like all I do is think about something and it's there. And so I think I really need to start looking at what am I bringing to myself? And I think, Jane, you said you wanted to talk about a joyful,
Divinely joyful. Yeah.
Yes. And I started really thinking about that the last couple of days. And I thought about it. I'm like, well, what can I do to bring more joy into my own life? I feel like I've just been on this treadmill. And it's like, you just keep going and you going and going. But then it's like, when do you take time to sit back and smell the roses, sort of? And I started this past week. I used to love to dance. And so I found myself putting on music and just dancing through my living room and dining room. So even though I don't go out and dance anymore, I was like, okay, why not? Why not bring that joy back into my life, something I really enjoy?
Right. Yeah. And it's so important on well, many levels, really, but being joyful, and as Diana was saying, what everything all of you were saying, just really embracing ourselves and loving ourselves. And those are the things that open us to our purpose, because our purpose is really the thing we value most in our hearts in terms of where we want to go in our lives. And it is the most joyful and exciting thing we could possibly do. So I think, as you, like you were saying, Carol Ann, if you're in a momentum thinking, well, I have to do this and I have to do that, and so expects this, and all of this, it's not, I sometimes think, well, it's moment or momentum, and I want to be in the moment so I can enjoy, for one thing, enjoy the moment. And also that is what opens us to what's really true for us.
Mm-hmm.
I love what you just said, Jane. Moment or momentum.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I've ever really heard that from anyone before. And it was like, wow, it kind of like, boom, I should have had a V8, right? Because I think we as women, number one, but I think just we've become a society that, and I think we've become a society of do.
Right, we are.
As light workers and healers, we want to save everybody also. So we're always, we have felt this unspoken obligation by what we do to put everyone else first and to make sure that we meet other people's needs. And so we get wrapped up in the momentum of the practice of being a light worker. And it's a 24/7 job. It's become that. And so I think that as we go into this year, to sit back in the self-love and get out of the momentum and get into the moment. And as Carol Ann had said, she's dancing. I want to start doing artwork again. I was doing it, and then I kind of got wrapped back up again into everything that I had to get done. And I went, you know what? Tomorrow, I'm going to do, if I just paint for an hour, I'm going to paint for an hour and just start. I kept getting this message over the last week. I've been going within, and you need to learn to play. You need to have more joy in your life and balance.
Mhm.
And I think
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
really important, you know? Ooh, we got
So
Yeah.
interesting too. All of these things that we talk about are, well, they're the best things we can do for ourselves, I think, spiritually, and also on every level. That's why I love the holistic model, because when you see how everything's connected, when you're joyful, when you're relaxed and more in the moment and not trying to rush around getting everything for everybody, it's very healthy too.
We lay down our toys. That's what I've been doing. It's like I love to talk about, teach about, and help people to rediscover the inner child. It's all, but I have laid down. I have been ignoring my inner child. I have stopped dancing. Carol, that was one of my things that I started to find that inner child. Now, when I went away all weekend, I was dancing and I was being silly, and it was like I was being my child. I come back home and somehow it's like somebody's got a straw and they're just sucking the life back out of me again. And I'm nobody else. I can't blame this on anyone else. This
Right.
always comes back to me, my joy. It is like, Carol, you just said, like I am allowing someone to take my joy. And so I have to
Exactly.
reclaim that. That's my job to reclaim it. So that's a very important for us to remember. And I'm trying. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to stay more in the moment too. I started realizing this past week, I was looking forward to this, or I knew I had something else to do, and then you just keep getting wrapped up in all the thoughts that are going through your head, and it was like, wait a minute, just sit and relax and find out what it is you want to do in this next moment, not next week.
Right. Yeah.
Not 2 hours from now, just right now. What do you need right now?
Yeah. One of my favorite things, and which I recommend to people often too, is if you find yourself in a momentum, just stop and breathe for a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing, just a few breaths. If you just stop and take a few breaths, it's not like this takes a lot of time. Also, we're breathing all the time. So if we can just do it more with more awareness, it can really transform your life.
Yeah. And in so many places, in so many areas, that's where, all of us are really getting to, is that moment of just stopping, like taking that pause, just stop for a moment, because the world will try to suck the life out of us. The world, there's always something, there's always something, but it's just like, stop, like just stop. And I feel like that's not just us saying that, it's all the guides and angels. It's like, they're like, we're here. We want to help you. We want to remind you. That was the one thing this weekend, because life has been so busy. We're coming through the holidays. There's been so much going on with all of us. We've all been under a lot of stress. And so when I was given this opportunity to go away for the weekend, I thought, oh, wait, I can't do that. I've got all this. And then I went, no, I am going to give this gift to myself. And this is the most important thing, is that I feel like we're so worried about trying to make everyone else happy that we have forgotten to claim our own joy. So if I could say that to any of that, I think the show's done. That's what, that for me, as far as that's my most important message, is reminding me, but also giving that gift to everyone else. Remember that nobody can take your joy unless you give it to them. It's yours.
Right.
It's yours.
Yeah. But if we're raised to be good girls, then it's hard to. That was what I was raised. I was raised to be a good girl. And it took me so many years to figure out that I wouldn't ever find self-respect or love for myself in other people, waiting for them to tell me what a good girl I was at 25 or 30.
So true.
I think even today we do. It's that approval, it's that need, and when we, those are core beliefs that are not so easy to shake. And so my hope for 2022 is that we all, not just the women, but the men too, everybody can kind of get down to some of those core beliefs that our parents, our grandparents, our neighborhoods, our religion, whatever it was, taught us, those very, very, common of being a good girl or being a good little boy or whatever it is. And it's don't be vain and don't be selfish and don't be this and don't be that. Oh my gosh, we had way more don't be's than do be's. Was that romper room?
What's that?
Go bees and do.
Don't be, yeah, don't be's and do be's. And, you know, that was my 70s. You know? But it's true. It's really true. I'm excited about this year because I think we're going to start seeing those more and more, those parts of ourselves, those shadow, what we would term in the work, the shadow aspect, but just beliefs that we've carried around and we're unconsciously acting out of. And so, right. Diana, I was so excited for her this weekend because she literally finally took some time and went away. It was like, okay, let me start breathing again, you know, because she'll say, well, I'm going to do this, but then something comes up and she takes care of somebody else, always. And so it was such and in fact, I was like, okay, she just modeled that to me. I'm going to do that. So my challenge to everyone this year is do something that someone else sees you do and they go, "Ooh, I'm going to try that." Because that's on my bucket list now. Very soon.
Right. Yeah.
Fun. Let's do it. I would challenge people to do more childlike things too. I mean, we balance our energy. You know, we're two-sided here. We need to stay balanced. And so when we're dancing or we're doing jumping jacks or we're skipping, you know, anything like that, which you feel totally silly when you do it, but your body just says thank you and you feel so good. We're all little children walking around on the planet. We've just forgotten, you know. And so I would say, if I was going to say anything for joy this year, is to remember that little child inside of you needs attention, needs to play. We just need to get back to playing again. That's the truth. We'll feel better.
Right. Right. And it's the things that bring us the most joy, I think, also that we're good at. I think another aspect of our purpose is the things bringing out the best in ourselves. And often what we consider the best in ourselves, or what actually is the best in ourselves, may seem so simple to us that we don't appreciate it. And instead we focus on the things that we think are our weaknesses and compare them to other people's strengths, which is just ridiculous. But I think it took me years to really grow into it. I started as an architect and now I'm doing something completely different with healing and, you know, coaching and spiritual development. And it really is what I was interested in all along, but it didn't fit. I don't know if guidance counselors when I was in school had those as part of the choices. Just interesting.
I don't think those were potential career paths. Right. And I was in high school in the 70s, but that still wasn't, you know, that still wasn't a career path. No.
It's still in the 80s and it still wasn't there.
Right. I'm going to be a spiritual healer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why most of when they ask us, well, like I know when they ask me what I want to be when I grow up, I'm like, I don't know. I haven't even figured it out yet. Like, do I have to grow up? Can I just keep on allowing myself? I want to say that real quick for 2 seconds because Carol needs to get in here. But you said something about becoming. At some conversation, you said something about becoming the light, and that's been my thing for the past year. Is that's why we have the Imagination of Becoming network, because it was like, don't keep putting the adjectives, don't keep titling yourself, don't keep limiting yourself by saying this is what I am this. People always, they get together and like, well, what do you do? And they ask me and I'm like, geez, I don't know. How am I going to explain this, you know, like whatever I feel called to do. So I think that it's really important. This year is going to be a year of cutting ourselves free. We're just saying, you know, I am what I am. I love that phrase. It gives me power. And I don't have to keep trying to qualify and compare myself, what you were saying, Jane, to anyone else. I just am this. And I continue to become. That's my answer. But you, Carol.
Well, when you were talking about high school, Jane, and Jeryl Anne and everybody, it was like, you know, thinking back, I'm like, when I went to the guidance counselor, he was like, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to be a jockey. Well, you can't be a jockey, but I'm the perfect height and weight, and I love horses. I want to be a jockey. Everybody was like, you can't be a jockey. So then later on, I made it into college. They told me this guidance counselor said, "You'll never go to college." I said, "Yes, I will." He goes, "No, you won't." I said, "Yes, I will." And I did. And I went to school and I graduated. And then I was like, well, now what do you want to do? Because I was too shy to go into what I had done, which was theater. And then I was like, well, let's see, what else can I do? Well, then I wanted to be a police officer. And it was like, well, you're a woman. You can't be a police officer. And I'm like, wait a minute. What can I be? Well, you can have babies. You can get,
Right.
you can be a
Yes.
wife and everything. I think back now and I'm like, what if I had just said, I'm going to be a jockey and went and did it? Because I think that really would have brought me joy. Perhaps some broken bones, but joy.
Right.
You've been happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. It's a work in progress. I've done everything. I've done so many different things. And it's like, okay, ooh, I like this. I want to have this to be my passion for a while. Okay, cool. And I just kind of touched down that. So now I can kind of bounce back and forth and all around. But I think too, for me, this year is going to be a year of, as you said, that inner child, that little girl in me, and even the adult loves to paint. I found that joy about 6 months ago. And I am absolutely excited about the thought of doing more of it, and I also, and that leads me to one of the things that I've been hearing or feeling, or actually just knowing, is that when we get creative, we really start to tap into what our passions are. We really start to tap into what that is best for each and every one of us. And so by our playing and being creative and doing all those things, it naturally leads us in the direction that our soul came here to do in the first place.
Right. And I think you made another important point. I think all of you pretty much were suggesting the same thing, that life purpose isn't one thing, and it is an evolving thing. We don't have to pigeonhole ourselves in any way. In fact, if we try to pigeonhole ourselves, or if we do it unconsciously, we're probably holding ourselves back. Like, I'm now a healer. I have to, do this, and this, and I have to act like this, and I have to dress this way. And that's not real. What's real is what brings us joy in the moment.
Right. And even in the healing line of work, are you doing it? Is the work that you're doing as a healer bringing you joy? Because it should.
Right. Yeah.
And if it's not, then you need to step back and say, okay, I've then pigeonholed myself again into something that I don't necessarily, this is not working exactly. And so we get to keep on recreating. We keep saying, okay, wait, maybe it doesn't work this way, but it can work that way. And we just keep on fine tuning ourselves. So that's the beauty of being flexible enough to keep on changing how we're operating. I think that's what's so amazing about us, is that we can keep changing.
Right.
I think that we go through periods. I've done massage for 33, 34 years. And you go through periods, like in any career, where you just get kind of burnt out, and then you need to kind of back away, regroup, refresh, reorganize. And there's, that's okay. So I think we all go through phases. And I think it's the honoring ourselves and each other to do that. But I'm still going back to the number one thing is have fun, find some joy, and go on a weekend trip.
Yes.
Or a whole week.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I have a whole week coming at the ocean at the end of the month.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
In fact, another thing that I do, and Philip and I, my husband and I, both do, because we spend all of our time together. All of our work is together, and most of our time is together. And we take trips together sometimes, and sometimes we take trips alone. And I think this is another thing, as we're evolving spiritually, it's very important for us to take enough space for ourselves so we can come back to a recognition of who we are, kind of energetically, just to be with ourselves and be able to be comfortable with who we are. So that's what I'm going to be taking a whole week later in the month, just for me. And we do this pretty regularly, and I find it really helpful. We write too, so usually we have some kind of project that we're doing. I have something in mind that I want to do, just also because it's joyful for me. So
Well,
I think we have to be creative with how we conduct our lives as we evolve, because it's not going to be the 9 to 5 for many of us, or what society would look at and say, well, she's living, a good life here.
And I love what you said about you guys you do vacations together, you do separate vacations, but and another type of vacation, I know Carol Anne and Diana and we all went to Charleston, South Carolina for a couple of days. Oh my gosh, we laughed. I literally pee-peed myself over that time period. And we laughed and we played in the streams and we fed the horses and we went to the beach. And I mean, honestly, there is nothing like a girls' trip to just, and we're due for another one soon.
We're overdue.
Well,
right. It was actually a year ago in February.
March.
Was in March. Yes, it'll be a year in March, and that's way too long to go. And but yeah, you get to be silly. You don't have to worry about anyone else, and you just get to have so much fun, and it's so healing and so freeing. And of course, at night, it was like a bunch of girls at a slumber party. Silly things were happening. And I was out in the living room and they shared a room. And all of a sudden, I would hear this laughter. I swear, I didn't know what they were laughing at, but they were laughing so hard. And it was such a belly laugh that, honest to God, I started laughing. That was when I had no idea why they were laughing, but I was having just the best time laughing with them. It didn't matter what it was. And then nothing, literally nothing would make us start laughing. And you've really hit that place of Zen when you can just like look at each other and just bust out laughing again, And I think that's important. It's really important to have those fun trips, because we have a tendency to get way serious.
Well, when you're in that state, also things don't look so serious. The things that you think are important, or gee, this was a big problem. It's like, oh, that wasn't
Yeah.
That's fine. I'll move on and enjoy my life.
Exactly.
I'll tell you, that doorknob will never be the same.
Okay, so now we got to tell Jane the story. When we first came into the room, I think this is how it happened, but there was this very strong odor in the little cottage we were staying in, and I was trying to find like wherever the smell was coming from, and I think we finally tracked it down into like the bathroom inside the shower. It was like one of those little things those deodorizer type things. But I went to open the closet door, and when I did that, the whole door handle came off in my hand. And Diana was standing there. She burst out laughing.
Walked in and she's like, "That was it. I was on the floor."
It was just so funny. And even today, I think the three of us, every time we think about the doorknob, we just go into hysterics, and it immediately brightens our mood.
Yeah, it does. It does. And those, look, I love it. We have so many people here. It's like, hi, everybody. It's so nice to see you all.
Yes, welcome. And thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I know. That's so cool. Yeah.
And I hope you can get a little of the joy and laughter too, because it is so good for you.
Yes. Yes.
Good for the soul.
It is.
Sure is.
I've started watching, instead of watching serious things and that, I've started watching stand-up comedians
Mhm.
the last couple of days. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, you need to start laughing more, because what we do in practice, we do in the game. That's what number 2 taught me. And because I used to have this one word that I used to use all the time that really wasn't appropriate. And so I would do it at home. But I wouldn't do it out in public. And he'd go, what you do in practice, you do in the game. And every time I use that word to this day, I can hear that in my head, by the way, but I think it's by doing that and in really starting to laugh, whatever you do, whatever you focus on, you just automatically, I think, start creating more of.
Right. Yeah. And
You
if
know.
you want joy.
That's right.
Right.
Joy, ugliness, when we're down and depressed, we create down and depression. It's like taking
More things. Right.
I want happy this year. It's 2022. I just want to focus on happy this year.
I think
Happy.
that's a wonderful theme. I'm enjoying it thoroughly already.
Mhm. Happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think this might be a good time for our guided meditation. And what we're going to do is pick up on our joy theme because it is your purpose. And I think a connection with the divine is joyful. This kind of serious, being an architect, I think that kind of the attitude is, well, if you're smart, then you're taking things very seriously.
Mhm.
Well, we're going to be joyful. And for the meditation, we're going to do a process. I call it the spiritual path process, where we go to a spiritual path and take a look around and see what's going on there. We all have we're on a spiritual path, whether we know it or not. And we can take a look at it. So that's what we're going to do. And it's something that each of us and every one of us can do for ourselves in our meditation to gain insights on where we are, where we've come from, where we're going, and what might be possible right in the moment too. So we can start by closing our eyes. Not if you're driving, of course, if it's safe and if you feel safe. And taking some of those beautiful, nice breaths to bring us more into the moment, as we were discussing, so we can just be here. Breathing in that beautiful, pure energy and light that's all around us, and more of the joy. Sharing the joy with all of the parts of ourselves, especially any parts maybe that we're not sure we love. Any parts of us that may be ailing. I'm picking up a little background. I'm going to just mute everybody else other than me. There we go. Just to keep the background noise down for a bit. And as you exhale, just releasing anything that is not that joy or that is not true to you. Anything that feels heavy, you can just allow it to flow down into the earth where it can be neutralized and turned back into light. And it's also helpful to ask any energy that isn't your own to leave the space that you're in, because we pick up energy from other people and other places. And what we want is to be able to be just ourselves. So we can just ask any energy that isn't our own to return lovingly back where it came from. And you might notice you feel freer when you do that. We also leave bits of ourselves in other times and other places. Maybe we're focused on the past or the future or being somewhere other than where we are right now. So you can just ask, and our intent is so powerful. With your intention, just ask to have all of the parts of yourself that you can to return back to you in this moment. And you might even feel that. I can feel that a lot of times, there's energy coming back. And what this does is just allows us to have more of us here in the moment, in our bodies. Just the simple experience of being together, which is joyful in itself. And then we can breathe in lighter energy. We can imagine going to a spiritual path, and it can be in a higher, lighter place. Maybe it's on a mountaintop or a cloud or a beautiful field somewhere in the mountains. Just someplace that feels right. And it's a place where you're on a path with the past behind you and the future is in front of you. And the present moment is right where you are now. And there are a lot of things about the path that might be significant if you start just to notice what you notice. And you may feel a certain way about it, or you might see images or hear messages. And you might just notice how wide the path is and what it's made of, what's around you. We're on a joyous path now. And it's interesting because there's this idea of trajectory. Wherever you're going is going to relate to the energy that you're putting out right now. So if you imagine if you're putting out a lot of fear and dread, what the path looks like, and if you're putting out joy and love of self and love of the journey you're on, what does your path look like to the future? And turning around, looking at the past, you can get a glimpse of where the journey has taken you. You may have climbed many mountains or had many journeys or deviations that have brought you to this moment now, where you can look ahead at a more joyful, divine, and purposeful future. And it's divine because we're all part of our Creator. And when we have that connection to our Creator, it's that sun above us. On the path, you might notice if there's a sun there or not. And when we're connected to our Creator, there's a sun that can shine down on us. We can just imagine that now. If you're feeling joyful, you're connected. The sun would be there. And just feeling that love from above. And I also, in the theme that we're in today of joy, I would like to invite in Archangel Razio to join us. And Razio is like the magician of the archangels. And I particularly enjoy him because he's very joyful. And he's kind of a trickster too. So we can bring that energy to it and just imagine the magic there. That we have magic in our moment now and that there's magic in the future. And looking ahead, just notice if there's anything about the future that you could benefit from understanding now. Maybe the path is twisting or it's going uphill. Maybe it's straight and smooth, or whatever it is you notice about it. And we can also be sending our intention out for what it is. That we have the intention this year of being more playful and joyful, and sending that energy out. And another thing that I enjoy doing is just knowing that there are so many beings of light supporting us, that they all have for us. Just imagine one of those beings, an angel, a guide, someone up from above has left a treasure chest for you, maybe a little treasure chest, maybe a big one, somewhere around the path where you can see it now, and there's a gift in it for you. And just with your imagination, whatever comes to mind first, just if you can see that, and then pick it up, or if it's too big to pick up, you can just open it up and discover what that gift is. And then ask yourself what that might mean to you. It might be something symbolic. And this is also an opportunity for us to express our gratitude to all of those beings of light who are supporting us. And to all of the friends, to be grateful for the friends who love us. And imagine going joyfully together up the path into the future. And just with this in mind, this vision, is there anyone here, Jeryl Anne, Diane, or Carol Ann, who would like to share what you perceived from the spiritual path? Oh, I muted everybody. Here, let me see. There you go. What, Jeryl Anne, you're still muted. There you go. Everybody's unmuted now. Okay, good. I'm the trickster.
I have to say that's one of my favorite. It's always been one of my favorite techniques what you do. And it, you know, in my mind, when we turned around, I thought, oh, you're going to see all this really, you know, how, you know, everybody's horrible behind me. And it wasn't. It was not. It was, you know, there were twists and turns, and there were a few gullies that I had to jump over that I knew I would have had to have jumped over, and some things. And it wasn't bright, but it wasn't this desolate. When in the past, it had been that way when I had done this in the class and that with you. But what I saw was, I mean, the sunshine was so bright, and there was a waterfall for cleansing and for play. Mm-hmm. And there was a swing in the tree, and it was just so, it was joyful. It was truly joyful. And it was like, okay. And my gift was, at first it was a paintbrush, and then I kept digging around, and there were paints, and there was an easel and a canvas. And the gift was creativity. And I heard this thing that what came to mind was, you can paint any future that you want.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You can paint any future you want. And I was so excited. It's like, oh, I'm going to paint again. And so it was just, and there were, of course, butterflies and flowers and my dragon, or actually it's a dragon I share with Diana. We have the same dragon, Oliver. And the dragon was just flying around and having a great time. And the animals were just jumping around, and all my guides. And there was just like, everyone was there. It was a party. It was just fun. So it's like, okay. And I knew that there was little spots off to the side that was going to be like, okay, you're going to have to go back, and you're going to sit there, do a little processing, but then you can come back out and play again. And that's what it felt like. Felt good. Thank you. Is Jane frozen? Or am I frozen?
No, I think Jane is.
Jane is a little bit.
It's me?
Here she
There
is.
she is.
There she is.
Actually, and there's a message, your internet connection is unstable, which is odd. But we're
That's
back,
good.
I think, hopefully.
I think we were all okay except for you, but we didn't know Jeryl Anne was talking until she mentioned it. It was so yeah, that was beautiful, Jeryl Anne.
That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can tell you the energy was amazing, and I was getting lost in it. So I was, because yesterday I was on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and we stopped at this trail that was absolutely magical. So it was like really easy for me to fall into it, because we went up these stairs, and then all of a sudden, even though the leaves have fallen, the trees are just reaching over, and it's like a tunnel of trees, and they're so crooked and gnarly up in there. They call it the craggy forest or something. Trees are so interesting, and they grow right out of solid rock. And I love trees, so I was in heaven doing that. But as I went through, I was really seeing that again through your meditation. But I came to the place where you did the treasure box. And of course, I've got tears. The energy was amazing. I have to tell you that I was really kind of lost in how I was feeling because my heart was so in it. The treasure chest held something that I had 2 questions before I went in, and I don't want to go into them on here, but it was, I think for me, I'm trying to sort a lot of the relationships and how we're going about things. And so the treasure chest held a diamond ring. For how anybody wants to interpret that, I'm pretty sure I know what that means. And then after I received the diamond ring, I saw Carol and Jeryl Anne and I all I could think of is the Munchkins in Munchkinland, but our elbows are attached and we're just going to dance. It was pure joy. It's like whatever happened in the whole thing, it was the 3 of us were so happy as we went up to the top. So beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank
That is
you.
beautiful.
I like being a munchkin.
I've always been a munchkin.
I'm a munchkin wannabe for sure.
Yes.
I kind of, I think, went back in time. And you're right, the energy was amazing. It truly was. But when I first started down the path, before I even started down the path, I saw me as a child. And one of my favorite things to do was to play on this mound of dirt. Don't ask me why. I was a tomboy. I loved dirt. And so I would take my toy horses out and my trolls and everything, and I'd create all these paths and all kinds of things. And so that's what I first saw. I was like, wow, that was a time when you were so happy.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't take much, just my imagination. I was like, wow, okay. And then as I kept going, I started, I got up from the dirt pile and I started walking. And then I was going down these trails, and then all of a sudden I was leading a horse. Well, when I was a kid, I went to camp, and one of the things I got to do was once a week we would go on a trail ride. So again, it transported me back to one of those happy places, which was really neat. And I just, kept, following the path and the trail. And then I came out into a nice clearing, and it was like, wow, look at where you are now. You're in this gorgeous place of peace. And I was like, okay, let's see what else we've got. So I kept going, and then I kind of went through this little, smaller trail, and then I came out onto the beach. And then that was right about when you were saying there's a treasure box. So I walked over on the beach and I picked it up and I opened it up, and inside was a toy horse and 2 feathers, a blue jay and a cardinal. So that was really neat. I'm not exactly sure what it means to me. I'll have to sit and think it over.
It'll come to you.
But it was a really nice visualization. Liked it.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting. You never know what you're going to end up, where you're going to end up, or what you're going to end up with. I opened the treasure chest and there was a magnifying glass in it. And I know one of my goals this year is to just take a closer look at everything that we're doing for Philip and me, because we have a lot, a lot that we are doing, and be real concise glass and just don't spend a lot of energy off kind of in different places. It says I'm unstable again. I don't know if you're hearing me, but I'm hearing you. So anyhow, that was really, I thought, wonderful that all of us have brought to this. If that is our intention and that's what we're seeing for ourselves, we can create this. And for anyone out there who wants to live in the magic and the joy. And Razio, by the way, his energy often is seen as rainbows. So we can just imagine surrounding ourselves with this beautiful rainbow light, which the child in me loves loves rainbows. And I imagine sometimes that it's like sparkles of rainbow light that he cascades down over me. And then I can just send the right colors. Each of the cells can choose what colors they want or need. And they, because all of our cells are intelligent, and it just feels so good. My body starts to tingle when I do that. But I just so appreciate all this energy you brought to this, because this is also how we're going to change the world. I think by being joyful. Love and joy go together. And when you feel good, everything looks good too. Life looks good. You know, we all have a bright future. If we want, you know, if we want to create that, if that's where our focus is.
Exactly true.
Love that. I really love that.
And then
I try
that's
to.
how we can be lights for the world too. If we're talking about the circle of love and light, it's not like it's a task like, I have to send out some love now. No, it's like we are the love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do that every day. I try to take a walk every day, and more often than not, I end up in my own neighborhood, walking. And as I walk, I just look at each house and I try to visualize the people that live in there, and I'm just like, trying to send them love and say, I hope you have a peaceful day. Just something simple as I pass all these homes, and I'm hoping that it makes a difference, that somehow it'll bring some kind of, I don't know, inspiration or something, that it just kind of floats into their house. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I try to do it.
I don't think you are.
I don't think you're crazy at all. What if, Carol, everyone did that? What if every single person did that, or those who are conscious of it? What a difference it would make.
Yeah, I always just try to, send love and peace, wish them peace and happiness as I walk.
I think that's beautiful. It does have an impact. I think it's been proven, I think, in different examples of how people are affected by the energy that they receive from others. And it doesn't take much either. I think that's another beautiful thing, to have a positive impact on other people's lives.
Kind word, just the intention. And if we truly believe what we say, which is that we are all a collective energy, whatever energy we hold or even put out there, it impacts every other person on the globe. I mean, if it is one big soup, what ingredient do we want to add to the soup? And I love your ingredients you're adding, Carol Anne. I wish you lived in my neighborhood. Look here.
I wish you all lived in my neighborhood.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It's a change in how we shift too, because I often do that when I walk down. I live in a very touristy town. It gets crazy, insane here a lot of times. And there's that part of me that wants to fall into frustration and, like, oh, I just need to get someplace. And I can get short, or I can say, you know what, this is just the way it is. And they're all just having their experiences and they're enjoying themselves because there's so many neat things to do. And I was one of those tourists once, and that's why I wanted to be here. And so I changed the way that I try to see it through their eyes instead. I see their children, they're having a good time, they're enjoying each other as a family. And so it requires us to change that persona, that part of us. We're all in a skin suit here. Can we just change it out instead of being in that very negative, like when we walk in and we're like, oh, this is going to be a bad day or whatever? It's going in and saying, you know what, I'm carrying this energy of kindness, of compassion, of empathy. And I'm allowing, and I always say those tendrils, like we all have this energy that's just floating around us. Now, how do you want your energy to touch out or reach out and touch those other people? What kind of energy? How do you want them to experience your energy? And if you can take on that, okay, how would I want to experience it when someone else walks in the room, and I'm going to give back that thing? It's just the golden rule, really, but using your energy to do it. And you're exactly right, Carol, because I see the experiences. I see people, they're stressed or they're upset, and all of a sudden you walk through the room and they're like, oh gosh, okay, phew. Like it changes them. I always call it love bombs. So like, I just send you a little bit of, and I'll set my intention before I walk downtown. Anyone that comes anywhere near my energy, anyone that I pass, may they receive a blessing today. And then I just let it go. Mhm. Yeah, that's how we change the world. I'm so right,
Mhm.
Carol.
Jeryl Anne does it all the time in stores. She hears the music and she gets excited and she dances and she
Dancing.
Dance through the stores, I do.
We did when we went on our trip. I was watching her and go around here, and I was watching people watch her, and we go in and clerks would go, oh my, they would go from being like, to, oh my gosh, you look so happy, you're having so much fun. I mean, they literally lit up because of it. So we can do that. We can impact, just smiling to someone in the store or smiling to the clerk or saying, hey, thank you for the great job you do, and smiling and being kind in that. Yeah, she's like a little love bomb when she goes out into the public. Like, oh my gosh, it's so much fun to watch, and it's contagious. So then Diane and I would be doing the same thing. We'd just like dancing around. It was so crazy, but oh my gosh, how simple. And it
Yeah.
doesn't cost you a thing.
Not a
Right.
thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You go away feeling better for it. And
Of course.
Jeryl Anne, you don't give yourself enough credit. I remember one store where you went through first, and the guy was like, "Oh, he's this a young guy." He's like, "She was so nice when I came through," and I said, "Yeah, she's really nice." And then I was talking nice to him. He's like, "Man, I'm having a great day." And then Carol pulls up the rear, and of course, little Carol's dancing and having a good time. And he was so blown away by all of that bing, bing, bing. The three people right in a row treating him so nice. It was just made his day. It was just a really fun experience.
Fun to do.
Yeah, it does. I love to watch how they change. You just change somebody's complete day just by
Yeah,
that little interaction.
yeah,
Okay.
that's beautiful.
Mhm.
Okay, well, this has been a pleasure. I'm so glad that we were all able to be here together. And I'd also like to offer an opportunity for each of you to tell people how they can find out more about you, contact you, whatever you'd like to share.
For me, it's easy. Just see the name Jeryl Anne Peterson-Heatherdale. Simple name.
On
But I'm on
Facebook, right?
Facebook. I'm on
Right.
Facebook. That's easy.
Don't look around your neighborhood for it.
Yeah.
Might not find it.
Yeah, really.
Not on a big billboard anywhere yet.
Right.
Maybe one of these days.
I don't anticipate that either.
Mine is the same. You can find my name, Diane Allison Biersdorfer, or you can come to the Imagination of Becoming Network, and that's where you would find me.
And me, it's usually just Jeryl Anne Allen, but there's probably 50 of them. And
There are. That's a problem.
so I may be a little harder to find, but you could also probably find me if you're a friend of Jeryl Ann's or Diana's, by looking on there and tracking me down.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea. And thank you all for being here. This has been wonderful. Just if anyone wants to know more about the Circle of Love and Light, we have a website at circleofloveandlight.org. And if you go there and become a member, an ambassador of Love and Light, you can receive some free gifts. And we also, my husband and I, felt we have Awakenings Institute, private organization, More Living World. And our main website is at gettingthrough.org, gettingthru.org. And you can go to gettingthrough.org/awakenings to find out about Awakenings Institute. There are different parts of the website. Gettingthrough.org/holistic talks about the programs and courses that we have. And whatever you choose to do, we're delighted that you joined us. And I wanted to also mention, if you did enjoy the circle, please like our page and follow us if you want. You can also help us to get the word out by sharing the video with your friends, and also by coming back and inviting your friends to join you. So I hope everyone has a wonderful week. Remember the rainbows and the sparkles. and just notice how your future looks when you're feeling joyful. I think it's a good indicator, because that's one of our dogs playing with a toy. Squeak, squeak.
He's joyful.
He's joyful, right?
They help. They actually are very joyful. Anyhow, thanks again for joining us, and have a wonderful week. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.